really. And I'm sure I've called a couple of favours in, and you know, and they got paid as well. Do you know what I mean? It weren't like it was for charity either. So
it's not a favour if you paid them.
No, of course. Well, that's what I was telling them. Stop telling me you're doing me a favour. Do you know what I mean? So.
You do nothing for me. You do nothing as a woman. You do nothing as a mother.
I'm constantly scared. I can't take living like this anymore.
Listen to me. You go from here. She stays here. Little Raye stays with me.
Is Raye your daughter?
He's a monster for doing what he's done to you. Does he love you?
Frank is very much like her dad. Childish. Stubborn. You carry on doing what you're doing and behaving the way you have been. And you are going to push away all of those people that love you and care about you. You're a man now. Act like one.
Go to Spain, Raye. What kind of life is your child going to have if you stay here with a father like that?
What do you want, Raye? What would make you happy?
So yeah, hello everybody on this roasting hot day. My name is Kevin Halden. This is Nerdly Out Loud, the official channel of nerdly.co.uk, your favourite British home for all of your news, reviews and exclusive interviews. We like to cover everything from the big budget to the low budget to the no budget, with a special keen interest on the lower end of the scale. And tonight, I've got an interview with two guys that I'm dying to speak to about their movie, The Sun Also Rises, which is coming out a little bit later in the year. We'll get into that in a quick hot second, but we've got a man who truly needs no introduction. We have Craig Rolfe, Roland Manookian in the room here with us. If you've seen the Foot Soldier franchise, you know this guy. Football Factory, The Business, you know, Roland's been in just about everything ever. And we've also got Shane McCormick, who I guess you could say is a little bit of a new up-and-comer on the scene, and he is the lead star in The Sun Also Rises, and he's also the writer, the producer. I believe he wrote the theme tune and sings the theme tune as well. So, guys, how are you tonight? How are you doing?
Roasting is what I am. Absolutely roasting, but enjoying it while it lasts.
Well, that's the thing. We'll all be crying about the rain next week. So, basically, I'm going to start with a super softball question, a nice easy question for the guys. Who wants to tell everybody what The Sun Also Rises is and what we are in for when this movie comes out?
Okay, so the Sun Also Rises charts the story of a young lady who herself witnessed domestic violence and domestic abuse as a child, and it sort of manifested itself in her own adult relationship, and it comes to a sort of fork in the road where her partner, played by the wonderful Shane McCormick, is having the beginnings of a psychotic episode, with it dealing with his own past and trauma from a domestic violence and domestic abuse and domestic violence in his own family. So it's sort of the film charts the cycle of domestic violence that occurs, sadly, with victims either going on to be victims themselves in their own relationships if they witness as a child, or going on to be the predators and actually committing domestic violence, being the offenders. So we really wanted to explore the relationship between the lead actress Gina Jones and Shane, and how this relationship affects everyone around them. The branches of it affect everyone in everyone's life all around them, and it was really just trying to convey a real and true story, heartfelt story about a woman's struggle and hopefully redemption.
And Shane, you're credited as the creator and a writer on this. I believe Roland also helped shape some of the story for you as well. But what made you want to get this story out there, and what made you want to tell this story? What was it that inspired you?
So I think there's a lot of us out there that have grown up in bad homes, I suppose, where it's a bit rocky when you're growing up and you see certain things that it's not nice to see. So yeah, it's based on like what you see as a child growing up, and then obviously conveying to the films are like Nil by Mouth, your CDs, and I just want to get out there to the world where you need to open your eyes to what's going on, and come out and let everybody know what's going on. And if you're dealing with a bad time, and it's behind closed doors and not many people can see it, we want people to open up, and then tell somebody and get help. So we was trying to create a niche where we're touching base on mental health. Like you mentioned, let's talk about George earlier, which is suicide awareness, and then Munchausen's, and now this one, domestic abuse. We want people to open up. We want people to come out, and we want people to deal with their problems properly.
Yeah, we and provide, just try and tell the story, as Shane's saying, in a way that people could search for support if they wanted to, and it's a human story, really. It touches everyone. Like I said, it's not necessarily. It doesn't always have to be so primary. It can be secondary. It can be third place. It can be fourth. It's like how it affects everybody in everyone's life, and how it affects people's mental stability, really. And I think that's where me and Shane are aligned, where we really would like to tell these stories that are human stories that people deal with every day. Like, some people, they don't have the luxury of getting up in the morning and just sort of going outside and feeling like feeling regular and feeling maybe not vulnerable or do you know what I mean? They might live in these sort of oppressive situations and have in these relationships, and it was just really about sort of shining a light on them and seeing, hopefully, if we can in by telling our story, perhaps make a little good in this world. Do you know what I mean? Try and say something that has some meaning.
Even if we've helped one person, two people, we've done a good job there.
And that's absolutely what grabbed me when the trailer came out. I'd seen like a brief synopsis of what this movie was going to be, but then the trailer came out and it's powerful. Like, even just the trailer comes across as super powerful, super real, super British, super relatable, and then you've got some fantastic cast in there, which we'll talk about in a second. But there's not enough of the big, I don't really want to say big budget movies, but there's not enough of the studios that are touching this subject, and you do need to sort of look to your more independent guys. And this movie, I think it looks like it's going to be a banger. I really hope so. And it's a topic we're talking more about, but we're still not talking enough about, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, and that's sort of where we were working alongside Shane and Move Mountains Productions. We decided to sort of put 3 films together, and funny enough, this was the one that wasn't on the cards first. And sort of just the way things happen in the industry, wheels move, the motion happens, and you sort of got to go with it. We sort of went with it, so we had to sort of. So Shane and Josh, who originally had the script, they sort of brought it to me, and then we had to tell this story in quite broad strokes, because we didn't have a massive amount of time, and it was sort of like, and it's the way independent films are made. It's really on the sort of on a knife's edge at all time, and we sort of told this story in quite broad strokes, and it sort of lends itself to the type of story that needs to be told, because if it's too intrinsic, if it's too sort of if it's too sort of directed in one like focused in one way, we lose the bigger picture of what we're trying to tell, and it's how it affects everybody, and not just the person who's the victim or the predator or the offender in this case where Shane plays. It affects everyone. He's dealing with his trauma, she's dealing with her trauma, but you still have to go to work, and you still have to get up, and do you know what I mean? And life goes on, the world turns, and that's where the drama is. And I think that's what we was really trying to tell, a story that is relatable, that is powerful. And again, where Shane and I are a bit aligned, we're sentimental buggers. Do you know what I mean? We like to be moved by something.
You'll have a tear, mate. You'll have a tear.
Do you know what I mean? So we had all of this in mind setting out. So I'm pleased that at this point the trailer sort of struck the right chord with you, because that's the direction we're going in with the film. We really want to sort of move people, but not in a way that's just sort of voyeuristic, but more in a way that's sort of like what you don't quite see is sometimes a little bit more scary and a little bit more edgy. So we've in our attempt, I hope we've been successful.
Well, it looks so far, and we'll be seeing the finished product later in the year, but so far it looks like you're getting there. But what I do want to ask you, Roland, I nearly called you Craig there, by the way. I've been watching you as Craig Wall for all these years. So what I did want to ask you there is it was based on that. You've been in front of the camera all these years, and you've been making all these different movies, but you're coming to put on a different cap. You're going to be the director, you have been the director. You've directed this movie. What was it like? This movie, why was it this movie that you wanted it to be your directorial sort of debut and coming out there?
I think that sort of, it was, directing and writing are just extensions and another way of telling a story, just like acting is. So it's not. I didn't feel I was sort of jumping in the deepest river. I just needed to sort of arm myself with the correct tools, so to speak. So, and it was sort of working with Shane and Move Mountains Productions. They sort of give me a voice as well, which was fantastic. So I took the opportunity, and we've sort of set sail to see what happens really, and in particular this story. It was more about, like, for me, because of the acting background, it's like, these are the types of films I like to watch. Do you see what I like? Yeah. I'm like, and I said to Shane and the rest of the cast, like, I'm watching this, like, and I'm writing this, like, I want to be interested in it. I want to watch it, and sort of, and not really concentrating on what anyone else is thinking. But if I find it interesting, I hope that sort of, that expression sort of goes a bit further, and other people find it interesting. So that was really the catalyst for the film. And then when we started talking about the type of film it was, and sort of dealing with these issues, we realised, okay, it's a very poignant subject. And like you said a moment ago, Kev, it's a subject we should be talking more about. There's still a taboo nature to it, and I think it's because it's so personal, and because it's so interrelated between usually quite family, and it's so, we don't touch the sides with it really. So they were the reasons. It was like, can we tell a powerful story? What type of story do we want to tell? Ones that we'd like to watch ourselves. And in sort of doing the research for it, we watched, like Shane touched on, we watched Nil by Mouth, Tyrannosaur, a lot of Shane Meadows stuff, Room for Romeo Brass, and sort of just this whole sort of plethora of British films that are incredibly difficult to watch, some of them. Yeah. But what we wanted to do was try and tell a story that is as equally difficult to watch, but a little bit easier to watch as well. So
I hope you didn't watch them all on the same night, because that's
no,
depressing.
It was a punishing schedule, but worth it in the end.
And Shane, you're not just the lead in this, and we'll talk about that in a second, but you're also a producer on this, and this is sort of like your first proper foray into feature film kind of producing and whatnot. So what was that like for you on that side of things, like getting sort of funding together, getting the team together, getting the cast together? How was that whole scenario, and how did it work? I mean,
we've obviously done a few short films now, so obviously we started at the beginning to climb the ladder. I'm a property developer, so I deal with a lot of producing and developing properties, and dealing with tender packages, etc. So it's all with price work and stuff like that. So I kind of used the knowledge that I entailed through my life through property developing to bringing to the producing side of it and the business side and the sense of numbers and stuff like that to make sure that we're not overgoing what we're spending, and trying to bring the budget down as much as we can to make sure that we're not going to be sort of selling ourselves short, if you like, later on down the line. But I mean, we set out with a number, a certain figure at the beginning. We probably doubled that now. I mean, but we went for it. We gave it a great shot. Like we had a number at the beginning. We knew what we was heading into. We just gambled and we went for it. And we thought this story needs to be told. We need to get ourselves out there as a producer, production company, myself as an actor, Roland as a director and writer. And we just give it a shot. And I believe that we've delivered and what we've got so far.
I think Shane done a marvellous job of producing this film, and along with his team, like an amazing job. Like it's been so insightful for me. I've been acting for 22 years, and like this new venture into sort of writing and directing has taught me more about acting than I've learned in 22 years in acting. No, seriously, it's like to see the effort that people put into it. And as an actor, I'd turn up and go, what a load of shit this is. and coke bods and like be a right horrible person, and like just because I'm being egotistical and being a bit of a prat really. But when I see the effort that these boys put in and sort of the determination and the ambition, it's really opened my eyes to how valuable producers are actually.
It's been a hard road. Like, I mean, getting these investors involved, etc. Because we got the talk, we can talk the talk. You have to sort of sell yourself and sell the film to people. People like Bradley Ward at Optima Interiors, bringing him on as our main investor and as a director of the company now, Move Mountains. He see something in myself. You see that Roland is seeing something in me, which we're seeing something in each other, which now the investors want to invest as us as a package. So they're willing to sort of put their money where their mouths are, and we got other investors that's coming on board, etc., because they like what they're seeing. So it's nice that our hard work from the beginning to try and get it off the floor is now being seen, and that we can deliver on what we set out to do.
That's the easy part of your job. Let's now talk about your role as Frank. Were you always going to play this role? Because like I say, I've seen Let's Talk About George and we've mentioned it a couple of times. It's also powerful. You scene steal everything in that film. You are brilliant in that shot. I loved that shot. But was Frank always your role?
So Frank was originally called Raye, R-A-Y, Man Raye. And obviously us having the script, it was about Raye and it was about the guy's point of view, which then obviously we took the script to Roland. He spent a year on it, spun it upside down, created a new film pretty much called Raye, R-A-Y-E, for the girl, but told it from the girl's point of view. And then obviously I become Frank, the male lead, but obviously it was the story being told about Raye the girl, which was, I thought, a blinding idea. So yeah, I loved it. So we went with it. Then obviously the title's changed now to The Sun Also Rises from Raye. But no, I mean, I was always going to be the lead. I got 3 films ready to go, and I ain't gonna stand down for any actor that comes on board. I want to get these 3 roles under my belt as a lead actor, and see where I can go and sort of show people what I am capable of, and what my craft's about. I want people to see that I'm an up and comer, and and I hope they do. So Frank was the start of it in a feature film. Roland created me this worldy of a role. Like, it literally got absolutely everything in it. It's got crying in there, there's happy stuff in there, there's geezer stuff in there, there's obviously aggression, crying, I've got a monologue in there, I've got a bit of action. So yeah, man, I've got everything in one film. So people out there get to see a taster of what I'm capable of.
Love that. Love all of that. And this question kind of applies to both you guys in two separate ways, and that is you've got a hell of a casting. Yeah, you've got Geoff Bell, who I think is criminally underrated. You've got Craig Fairbrass in there, who is absolutely at the peak of his career right now. Everything he does, everything he touches is solid gold right now. But Roland, you've been working with that guy. You've worked with Craig Fairbrass on 7 or 8 different movies now. What's it like now getting to direct Craig Fairbrass, and for Shane, who this is your first proper big kind of feature sort of lead role, going against him on the screen? What was it like being with a heavyweight like that?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sweet. I think first of all, you mentioned Geoff Bell and Craig Fairbrass, and they are stalwarts of British cinema, hands down. They are phenomenal actors, and luckily I've developed relationships with them over many years. So I sort of, we had sort of an idea of who we'd like to play, and had a wish list, and they were on the wish list, and it just sort of happened, and it was amazing, really. And I'm sure I've called a couple of favours in, and and they got paid as well. Do you know what I mean? It weren't like it was for charity either. So
it's not a favour if you paid them.
No, of course. Well, that's what I was telling them. Stop telling me you're doing me a favour. Do you know what I mean? So, but no. The great thing about fantastic actors is you don't really need to do too much. Their interpretation is so spot on, or so connected. There's a synergy with what we're doing, and sort of I developed the characters and the parts with them as well as the writer. So it was an intuitive between us. So really with them, it was more a case of could you just stand a little bit to the left, And even then, I was quite intimidated to say that to them. You know what I mean? But they were incredibly patient, and the thing is, and it's what built all of our confidence up. Is they're so prolific in their careers, and they're so wonderful as actors. They wouldn't do it if they didn't support what we were telling. So because it's not, and that sort of filled us all with confidence and gave us all confidence to go, right, okay, we're making something of some value because we value these people. Do you know what I mean? Within the industry and so on. So it was all building. But yeah, I tried to direct them as little as possible, because I would never sort of like to. I'm just starting as well. It would be, but they were so on the ball, and they brought so much to the table that it was more like, give me another one sort of thing. And and the great thing is whereas sort of when I had the opportunity to sort of give them a note or something like that, it was nice if they was like, oh, that's a good note. Do you know what I mean? It sort of reaffirmed my own sort of feelings on it. But it was great to watch them act. It was great to watch them and see them, not acting with them, but see them. And that was a really different experience for me, to not actually be alongside them. Like, I did miss it, to be fair. Like every day, the actors all sit around having a laugh, yeah, we're actors, we're cool, we're the nuts and everything. And I'm sitting there going, oh, fucking hell, fucking another problem. But I really missed that sort of camaraderie that the actors have. But I did enjoy watching it at a distance, and I really enjoyed bringing those actors to the film and getting them to work alongside Shane and Josh and like, because I know how good they are, and just to see what would happen, see if there was a chemistry, because it's all like a game of chess. You play a move, someone else plays a move. It's strategic. It's beautiful. There's real poetry in acting, and to sort of bring Shane, who's like this up and coming actor, into the equation with these, to see how you fare. You only know how good you are until you don't know how good you are until you actually work with some really good actors, and it was great. It was great to watch, and sort of I was inspired by it every day.
Yeah, and Shane sharing the screen with someone like Craig Fairbrass, who, like I say, right now is 100% top of his career. Was that intimidating for you, or was it just like, you are not having my moment?
So the truth be told is, obviously getting these actors on board is because of Roland. Obviously he's pulled in the worldly of favours, which is it's a massive deal to our film. and really appreciate the guys coming on board. Working alongside Craig, so I got the chance to meet him because I was Old Bill and the Foot Soldier, two of them. So I got to meet Craig a few times. We've had chats. He's given me advice and sort of spoke to me a few times. So I kind of knew Craig anyway, but obviously I was under pressure a little bit coming into the days. Poo coming down my leg a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. But I mean, no, I sucked it up. I knew what I was walking into. This is what I want to be doing. I want to thrive and work under pressure and deliver. And I made sure on the days that I worked for Craig that I pulled up and held my own, if that makes sense. I hope I did. I hope Craig feels the same way. It looks pucker on what we've put to the table. So, no,
it was a very collaborative effort. Everyone was so generous, and I think we really created that atmosphere where Shane and Gina and Josh and the other actors could feel really safe knowing that they were in the company of some really good actors and be able to feel confident to express themselves, because that's what basically it's about. It like, if you've missed your moment if you don't, do you know what I mean? And like everyone done it really well. And Craig and Geoff, that you know, Simon Manyonda, they were so generous with their acting. Eddie Webber, you know, these are like fantastic actors, you know, and they were just so supportive and stuff. And we had that sort of, it was sort of like almost the end of the pandemic, so there was this real camaraderie that brought to it itself. People were working again, people were expressing themselves again in the way they wanted to, and rather than sort of being locked up. So I think that's all lent itself and is reflected in our film.
And people like Geoff as well, like they've been so overwhelming, helpful. Like I spent a day with Geoff, pre-production sides, just going through scenes, and he's given me advice touching on how to deliver and express myself cinematically, rather than just anything basic. So yeah, getting these chances to work with these caliber of actors just makes you better and makes you want to perform better. You get to see the levels to this game and the professionalism, and yeah, man, it's been very, very, very overwhelming.
I think as well, when you're seeing those levels and when you're acting alongside those levels, it takes you up a notch. It takes you 100%. up, and I'm looking forward to seeing how many notches you take yourself up.
I don't want to come back down. That's the thing. I want to stay there.
but quickly on that as well, one thing that I am finding, especially recently, like I mentioned to you guys before, I'm part of the Romford Film Festival and everything, so I'm kind of seeing a lot more of these little groups of independent filmmakers and all that in the UK and Britain. And it's so amazing to see, because I think for a long time it just wasn't really there. Recently, this resurgence is coming, and how do you guys find the filmmaking world right now?
Well, we've got our next one under pre-production already. We're looking to get it off the floor. Tommy Atkins. It's about PTSD and a homeless guy. A lot of army stuff, but again, it's streets. It's real. There's crime. Touching base on the mental health again. Roland's also directing and restructuring the script as we speak. So, I mean, I don't know what everyone else is up to.
But I agree, actually, Kev. I think there is a renaissance of work, and certainly, and I think that's been, you know, post-pandemic. You know, people had time on their hands all of a sudden to actually start expressing themselves, and whether and we were no different. We you know, we made a film, Shane and I, during the pandemic. Do you remember? Like, we was in a hotel with no one else in it. We was all there together, just us, just the film crew, and that's when the sort of the beginnings of a fire of creativity began for us. Do you know what I mean? And we sort of been stoking it ever since, really. So, but yeah, I do think there is a nice. I think we do need to support more British independent films in general. I think we need to give them a larger platform, and hopefully now, and it's because there's no guarantee, but hopefully with the streaming sites and stuff, there might be platforms for them to actually get an audience and actually people to see. Like, the film game is still dominated by a very elite few, and that's not going to change. The pandemic's not changed it. If anything, it's probably made it even worse. It's made it more elite, because it's like, it's so precious. There's lots of money involved, and people invest, and and it's always a gamble, like Shane was saying. You take a little bit of a gamble, and you fill yourself up with as much good cards as you can, but it's still a little bit of a gamble. But I do think we should be supporting more British independent films, and long may they continue, really.
Wholeheartedly agree with you, wholeheartedly. So The Sun Also Rises, you guys are in post-production now, or is it finished? When are we going to be able to get to see this film? When's it coming? When can we see Shane absolutely hamming it up on the big screen?
So we're really close. We're actually very close to locking it to send it into post.
Nice.
So that's where we are now. So we're pretty confident with what we've got. Now it's a bit more nuanced what we're doing with it, in terms of just bringing it up so we can take it, just bring it so it's ready, almost ready for it to go into post, and then there'll be a little bit more adjustment. And I believe, Shane, it'll be some point in October, November.
We're looking for an October prem in London,
Nice.
Curzon in Bloomsbury. Everything's being discussed as we speak. Distribution, we're in talks with a few people at the moment. So once that's locked in, we'll have something locked in when it's going to be released.
Yeah, I believe it'll be at the end of the year. I think it's a good sort of more, like
Christmas delivery.
the perfect Christmas film.
Perfect Christmas film. Be like sitting down watching EastEnders at Christmas again.
No, if it comes out at Christmas, then it's the perfect Christmas film. If it comes out in October, it's the perfect Halloween film.
Exactly. Drop it in February. You'll be fine. Nothing could possibly
it's
go
a
wrong.
Valentine's film in February, you see, so don't worry.
So I'm going to start wrapping it up now, but could one of you guys sort of give the elevator pitch as to why people should see this film and what they're going to get from it, and then let people know where they can find yourselves on the social media or whatnot, unless you don't want them to find you. That's completely up to you guys, and then we'll wrap it up there, and I look forward to seeing this film.
Well, I think everyone should come and watch our film when it comes out to support British cinema, and hopefully this film will leave its mark on you in one way or another. And I hope it's in a very positive way, and you have enjoyed the film as much as we have enjoyed making it.
Yeah, this film's it's a gritty, deep drama thriller. It's got a great cast. I mean, it's got a great storyline. The build-up is not out there at the minute. We need more of these films. We need to touch base on mental health as more than we have been doing. Yeah, we need your support. We need people to watch this so we can continue in our journey and what we're trying to do. Social media isn't out there at the moment. We're keeping it under wraps at the moment, just until the right time's right, basically. But yeah, I think you'll be a little bit surprised with what we deliver. So yeah, keep watching.
That's always my favourite little tagline towards the end of any interview. I think you'll be surprised.
I'm serious, right? Definitely be surprised.
In a very good way. In a very good way.
Yeah,
but
definitely support the film. Like Shane says, and I was more trying to just sort of conjure up a bit of support for it. But yes, it is a British film. It's a gritty film. It's got fantastic cast, and it's got some beautiful cinematography in it. We really sort of show London as in a beautiful way, and I think that, like Shane said, I think people will be surprised that there are still people trying to make really good British independent films.
And people are, and I always love seeing it, and that's what we at Nerdly try to do, especially with the British indie scene and everything. We're always trying to push those guys a little bit more, and it's especially when you see a trailer like yours or you read a synopsis like this movie, you know fine well this is a movie that you've got to see, sort of like your Shane Meadows and your Paddy Considine when he makes a movie every 20 odd years. This is a movie that needs to be seen.
Got to see it. Yeah, you must. It's a must see, 100%.
Blinding, Kev. Thank you.